Welcome back, and it's time for Data Point, and tonight you're focusing on the EACC scorecard, looking at some of the figures and the information that we have, and you're talking about some key numbers here. The EACC receives up to 7,000 complaints per year that are related to corruption issues. And out of that, there's so much that goes on there. In 2014 to 2022, the EACC reports that it had submitted some 739 files to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions recommending prosecution. But out of that, it is only up to 88%, which is 653 cases that the ODPP gave concurrence, meaning that he agreed that the right decision was to go ahead and prosecute. But the concluded cases out of that were 308. So you have to compare that against the files submitted. Then you're talking about 47% are the cases that were concluded within that period of 8 years, or if you may say 2014 to 2022. And beyond that, what you need to note is that during the same period, the 308 cases that were finalized in court, this is the conviction rate. It is at 62% of this. That is 192 cases. But if you have to compare that against the recommendation or the cases that were recommended for prosecution, then it comes to just below 30%. For the acquittals, people that are found not guilty were 32% of the cases submitted. That is 99 cases of them. And those that were discharged, meaning the charges were withdrawn, were 17 cases, or 5% of the cases finalized in court. Beyond that, what we know is that between the year 2018 and 2023, which is a period of 5 years, the public assets that have been traced by the EACC amount to 44.3 billion shillings, and of course, there are recovery cases that have so far been filed in court in relation to that. The recovered assets by the action of EACC are worth 23.8 billion shillings, different property belonging to the public. Then pending recovery cases that are in court are worth 42 billion shillings of resources belonging to the public. And of course, the EACC says that they have averted the loss of public funds of up to 34.4 billion shillings. Again, what we know is that there are several integrity cases that are being handled by the EACC. Already there are some 150 cases relating to forgery of academic certificates. These are people that are working within the public service, and they're being investigated, meaning these are cases that are pending under investigation, but 13 cases are pending in court out of the many that are being investigated. But there's something you need to note about devolved graft. For the past 10 years, there are several reports. Again, I told you that 10,000 reports were made to the EACC, but out of those, 7,310 are within the mandate of the EACC relating to devolution. The embezzlement of funds are cases up to 2,994, and the cases relating to procurement irregularities are 1,130. And abuse of office, cases relating to these are 840, and the unexplained wealth, meaning state officials or public officials within the counties that have unexplained wealth that are being investigated by the EACC are 198 cases that have been reported there. Now, beyond that, we know that there are new ways of graft that are coming up in the counties. For instance, the non-remittance of statutory deductions. You're talking about the contributions of NHIF, NSSF, and of course, bank loans for public servants that are repaying their loans. You find that from their payslip, the money has been deducted but never remitted. So the EACC is categorizing that as a form of devolved graft. Then, as of the month of August 2023, the EACC was saying that there are some pension deductions that had not been remitted. That is up to 80 billion shillings. You can only imagine what would happen for someone to retire. Then you go to claim for your pension payment, but that doesn't happen. Now, these are the 9 cases that are pending against 9 governors. Some of them are former, some of them are current. You have Daniel Waithaka, who was the governor of Nyandarua. It is relating to procurement fraud. Governor Muthomi Njoki of Tharaka Nithi has a pending case in court, which is relating to procurement fraud. Ferdinand Waitito, former governor of Kiambu, has a case relating to embezzlement and unexplained wealth. Of course, he was impeached by the Senate a few years ago. The more pending cases include Moses Lenoir Kulal, who is the former governor of Samburu, having served 2 terms, that is the 2-term limit of, according to the Constitution. The case relates to conflict of interest and embezzlement of public funds. Former governor of Migori County, Okoth Obado, again served for 2 terms. Embezzlement of funds is the subject of the case. And former governor of Nairobi, Evans Kidero, relating to embezzlement of funds relating to the county. More cases. Former governor of Nairobi, Mike Sonko, embezzlement of funds. This is a case that is pending in court. So Peter Ojamong, former Busia governor, relating to embezzlement of funds. And the former governor of Muranga, that is Mangio area, again, embezzlement of funds is the subject of the case. So those are the 9 cases that are still pending in court. But the EACC reports that there are several governors whose files are still pending at the ODPP, meaning that they are waiting for a decision to be made by the ODPP whether to concur to charge or to return the files to the EACC for further investigation, or to say that those files should actually be closed. Now, there are other key pending files, including relating to the Ruaraka land that involves a former cabinet secretary and a principal secretary and others. Again, it is pending at the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. Then KEMSA COVID Billionaires of the year 2020. Again, the file is pending at the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions, awaiting a decision. There are something else that you need to note about the bribery in the country. The average bribe, according to a survey report by the EACC as of December 2022, the average bribe is worth 5,889 shillings. But there are some counties that have more expensive bribes. In Narok County, the average bribe is 42,652. Mombasa County, 23,387. Mandera County, 13,000. And Nyandaro County, 11,109. Those are some of the top counties in terms of the average bribe. Now, for Narok County, it had the highest or the most expensive bribe relating to land title deed. It was worth 201,000 shillings. But now this is not a bribe against or to the county government, no. These are services offered within Narok County. Some of them may be by the national government, some may be by the county government. Seeking employment in Mandera County will cost you up to 142,000 shillings in bribe. Bailing arrested individual in Nairobi may cost you up to 93,500 shillings. And again, this is according to the EACC 2022 report. And the EACC, this is how they work. They have 1 head office and 11 regional offices that they are supposed to use that network to monitor the entire country in terms of the corruption and ethics issues. They have presence at 50 Huduma centers across the country. They have a staff size or establishment of 752, inclusive of 100 lawyers and 100 investigators. Of course, these are part of the 752. And the EACC budget is up to 3.5 billion shillings annually. And that's just a look at some of the figures that we have according to the war against corruption as steered by the EACC. That is data point for this week.